r/AskReddit. What was the weirdest, most inappropriate or most unexpected thing you were asked during a job interview? What does your father do for work? I was like 24 years old. Pretty sure he was seeing how little he could pay me. He's deceased. Weeps uncontrollably. So you could say he's just working under the table now? Well, he was on the table at one point. But you know how life works. What are the chances of you leaving your spouse if we relocate you, you mean? For a period of time, until we figure out our living situation. No. I mean, would you divorce him if you had to move to, say, Europe for the job? Wow. Also, this was a local advertising agency. They didn't even have that many national clients. But also, the interviewer then continuously called and messaged me for days after I declined their offer. So I don't know. So basically, do I have a chance? Pretty much. Even though it took me till after the interview to figure that out. What a scuzzy tapeworm. I like the word scuzzy. This was quite a while ago, and I was interviewing for a janitorial position at a private middle school. The interview was going well. The interviewer was asking me why I wanted to work there, what my previous job experience was, etc. The bog standard interview questions. Out of absolutely nowhere, he asks, "You're not attracted to underage girls, are you?" I was taken aback for a moment and just sort of stared at him waiting for clarification. I think it only occurred to him after having said it how weird the question was, and he quickly started to give some context. Turns out the previous janitor had attempted some sexual advances on some underage students. I was just there to sweep the floors for some cash, not commit a felony. In context, makes sense. Out of context, sketchy as hell. Lovers, an adult toy/accessories shop in the US, hands you an elephant-sized, wiggly-ass dildo and asks you to describe it. You giggle, you lose. I lost. Yes. The model is roughly shoulder to wrist length, with the thickness of the forearm. Model has a certain flexibility to it, allowing a smooth mounting, yet it is rigid enough as to remove annoyance from the actual insertion. The model has taken the likeness of equine genitalia, with a blunt, flared head and a medial ring. Ultimately, if one were to ask this humble salesman his opinion of the model, he would say that this model is of use only to experts with extreme and rigorous training, and that if one were looking for an amateur model, he would direct them toward the casual section, and perhaps to train themselves before attempting a model such as this. Instant hire if I've ever seen one. I had a guy end my interview by asking me what my favorite ABBA song was. I was so caught off guard and honestly kind of creeped out, because I couldn't figure out how he knew that I loved ABBA. I found out later that when he spoke to my references, he asked them to tell him something about me that wasn't on my resume, and my old boss told him that I was a huge ABBA fan. I kind of like this. It shows the employer is actually interested in you instead of a name from a pile of CVs. Or that he wants to make sure your references are legitimate. Smart either way. Sounds like a solid interview move to signal that you actually contacted their references too. I was asked over the span of about 5 questions if I would let employees steal. What would you do if you saw a customer walk out the door with product? I would tell the manager and not confront them. The correct answer for almost all retail companies, but not this one apparently. What if it was your store? Many retailers, and you are the manager? I would try to stop them or call the cops. What if it was an employee trying to steal something really cheap like a $1 water bottle? I wouldn't let them steal, so I tell a manager. What if they have been having family troubles and their checks haven't come in, so they have no money but need that water? I would offer to pay for them so they don't feel Like they have to steal what? If you left your wallet at home that day, what am I even supposed to say to that? I always loved these absurd questions for retail. Well, if I answer this question, I'm sure the next will be, if a meteor comes out of the sky and kills us all, then what? Is this a test to see when I will say I don't know, or is it a test to show that I can think on my feet until it becomes completely insane? That interview felt like I was getting punked, so I wouldn't be surprised. The only other question I remember was, imagine I'm a customer. Try to sell me the chair you're in for $100 instead of 4 of these chairs for $25. The one I was in was nice and the other was a basic desk chair. So he wants me to sell someone one chair who is currently trying to buy 4. I was completely lost. First question of an interview. Wait, aren't you the guy who owes me that $1,000? Realized after 3 of the longest seconds in my life that he was joking. But boy, that caught me off guard. Joke or bribe? Wink wink. Fishing for a bribe, definitely. If I was fishing for a bribe, I wouldn't ask someone who is looking for work. It's incredibly common in India and many other parts of the world. People borrow to get the bribe so they can get the job and repay it back. Does lie detector during the hiring process count? I was asked if I'd ever had sex with animals. That question certainly caught me off guard. Edit. This was for a job as a sheriff's deputy. Sir, does Lala Bunny count? She's sorta humanoid. No. Well, how about the Pokemon Gardevoir? No. That's a Pokemon. Oh. On that case. Yeah. My neighbor's Belgian Shepherd. But he's such a tease. It probably won't happen. Apostrophe. Oh god, why? Would I be okay with going shirtless? Small private casino company that mostly did charity fake money events with prizes like champagne and chocolates, corporate gigs, etc. I was hired as a blackjack croupier and that's the job I went for. Advertised as above. Corporate events and charity events. Dealing blackjack. Must be good with people. If you knew me, that would make your gut bust. The woman interviewing me gave me the job. Then asked would I be willing to wear just collars and cuffs like a male stripper. Turns out they also did stag and hen nights and would ask new employees if they'd like to be considered for those shifts. But it requires the women to wear bikinis and men to wear only collars and cuffs. No shirt but wearing dress pants. They paid twice the rate for it. Was not expecting that question, I can be honest. So, did you agree to be half naked to get that back? Lol. I'm sorry. To get what back? But yes, I did one, and I hated it, so refused any more shifts of that type. For a net security position, if your employer asked you to do something illegal, would you do it? Now, before anyone hollers that this isn't inappropriate, I found out later that the job had been vacated by a friend of mine, who they fired after he refused to do something illegal for them. In my experience, a lot of illegal things are asked of it. One interview I was asked 2 weird questions for an interview at least. 1. Favorite superhero and why? 2. Do you believe in aliens? Why or why not? 30-second elevator pitch. Had someone ask me once, if you were Superman, what would your kryptonite be? I said if I were Superman, my kryptonite would be kryptonite. Did not get the job. Honestly, I would have hired you. That's the quality of jokes I want in my workplace. Not even a joke. That's straight logic. It's a poorly worded question to begin. It should just be what is your weakness / kryptonite, or Superman's greatest weakness is kryptonite. What's yours? I had an adversarial interview once. Passed the skills interview and was sent on to the guy who would be my manager if I got the job. He made a big show of throwing my resume in the trash and told me the next best use would be to wipe his ass with it, since he went to Yale and I didn't. And why did I think I deserved the job? I didn't say anything. Just got up and walked out. This was at AIG. Remember them? Lol. Lol, what a dick. You played it right. I was a private nanny. I have been asked many questions that wouldn't be considered appropriate in any other job interview. I've been asked how often I shower, whether I have ever been to a therapist/psychiatrist, if I'm promiscuous, if I have ever had an affair with an employer, how much I typically eat in a day, do I have a partner, what religion I am, whether I was gay or straight, if I had ever been bribed or had anyone ever attempt to bribe me, whether I had ever taken nude pictures, etc. Not all in the same interview. If I have ever had an affair with an employer that's just the dad trying to figure out his chances. Or the mom playing defense. Or mom trying to find out her chances don't discriminate bro. Would certainly line up with the "are you gay" question. Which teacher did you hate the most, and why? I answered that I had disagreed with a teacher over a book. I didn't like it, and it was her favorite, and she knocked points off all my future tests. Interviewer said it was unprofessional to not like a teacher, and I clearly had no interview experience. So yeah, didn't get that internship. Edit. Book was Electra. Thought it was stupid that everyone was mad over Agamemnon, who I thought was kind of shitty. You dodged a bullet. Imagine having to work with that moron. Yep. I've ended an interview early as the candidate when I realized the interviewee was a moron who I would not be able to stand working for. The person who was doing the interview seemed like he was trying to impress me, but was being the most arrogant dumbass in the process. That turned me off his company. For a bit of background, the parent company I was working for at the time had decided to specialize and had tried to sell off all the business that weren't part of their main product. After rebranding the rest of their business for sale, global conditions changed, making our company more profitable than their main product, so the parent company reabsorbed us under its main umbrella again. Not once did this change anything that affected me in any way. I had worked there in the same position for 7 years, but the interviewer believed that a company attempting and then deciding against selling off some shares meant I had changed my job 3 times in the past couple of years, and called me a job hopper. What kind of porn do you like? I was in the process of getting a government job that required a high security clearance. I was being interviewed by an agent. Most of the questions were pretty basic, but this one caught me out of left field. They didn't ask me that. They asked me if I was a sexual deviant. I made her explain what she thought a sexual deviant was. So, what did she think a sexual deviant was? You know, whips and chains, stuff like that. That's such a strange interview question. Lol. I was interviewing for a hiring manager position at a temp agency in Toledo, Ohio. The interviewer asked me how comfortable would I be if business client only wanted to hire certain types of employees. I probed for more information. After several probing questions, it was apparent that some of the businesses who hired this agency to find talent only wanted people from certain zip codes and wanted to omit certain zip codes altogether. I did not get the job because I stated that I would find and deliver the most qualified candidate regardless of where they lived. No biggie. I'm in a much better place now. Will you participate in a legal redlining? They asked me if I could stop my dialysis treatments so I can be more available. Yeah, Karen. Let me just die for less than $15 an hour. Would that be protected under the ADA? Yes. But she refused to recognize it. I realize this is probably a bit late, but if it is legal to do so, this seems to vary by state. Recording your conversations during interviews might be a way to force people to obey the law. It's all good. I ended up getting my dream job, so I'm good. Can you make your breasts smaller? They might be a distraction for some of our patients here. This was at a hospital, and I wasn't wearing anything provocative. I just have big boobs. I didn't get the job. They told me it was because I was too inexperienced. Can you make your breasts smaller? Yeah. I'll just wear my work tattoos. I once had a cold on the day of a phone interview at a speech therapist office. I started the call by apologizing that I was losing my voice and explained I had a cold. The interviewer, a speech therapist, asked me twice what was wrong with my voice. The first time she asked, I repeated that I had a cold and asked if that was relevant to the interview. It was not. She assured me. The second time she asked, I told her thanks, but I wasn't interested anymore. Seems like the kind of thing a speech therapist should be able to remember. As a man being asked about a spouse, do you have a wife? No. Well, gay marriage is legal in this state. I assume you don't have a husband? No. When you can't tell if they are being extra PC or extra anti-PC. He was being anti-PC. Pretty funny guy actually. Didn't know him well enough to say if he's actually anti-gay though. Listen, I have nothing against hiring a chick for the job, but I can't afford to have you go off on maternity leave. So are you planning on getting knocked up in the near future? Isn't that question straight up illegal? 100%, but I'm a practical woman who knows sometimes you gotta play the game. Should have took the job then immediately got pregnant. Name your kid Spite. Make his full name Spite Cranberry, last name. Are you pregnant? And after I said no, are you planning to get pregnant? Edit. To clarify a few things. It was a research position. It was in the UK. It is illegal to ask this question here. I did report her eventually. Nothing was done. Edit 2. The research was in computer science. Basically nothing dangerous, just working with programming. Are you pregnant? Are you calling me fat? Interviewer. Do you know how to swim? Me. No. Interviewer. Get out. Were you applying to be a lifeguard? LMAO. Nope. Software engineer. You have to know how to swim in order to surf the web safely. You've reached the end. You're a star. Destroy the subscribe button for more like that.